Hello to the two people who are here so far. Sorry I got a late start this month getting the notice posted, so we might have a small crowd today. I just actually scheduled this live stream last night. So this is the March 2023 live stream, and I appreciate the two of you who are on here. Feel free, pop any questions in the chat, and we'll just hop into that. It's been kind of a long month. I've been working a lot and I've been doing a lot of stuff for the lawsuit. So that is why there have not been any videos. But I did tell you guys in the last live stream that in March I plan on making 2 videos. So I promise you guys I have set aside time tomorrow to film a video that is my 2023 financial goals. So, hey Jennifer. Oh yeah, I forgot it's nighttime where you are. So basically, I know I told you guys in the last live stream I'd try to have 2 videos, but I definitely have 1 video this month. As always, it's been a crazy month, but I do have time set aside tomorrow to film the 2023 financial goals video, with the intent being that that will be up sometime before the beginning of April. You know, it depends on what happens, but I know it's getting like we're already like a quarter of the way through the year, so it's kind of weird to post that at this point. But oh, and thank you for whoever liked it. I just want to make sure that I go ahead and get those goals out there because I am currently working on them. So I want you guys to know what it is that I'm working on this year. And the video is going to kind of explain why I've been so busy too, and kind of what might be the end of that, like when I might stop being so busy and can work on more things. All right, so it looks like the comments are starting to roll in here. Let me get started on those. Before I do that, I've got my drinks, as always. Got my hydro flask. There's just a tiny bit of Diet Pepsi in there. And then just as like April of last year, the drink that I had in that live stream was Diet Ski, because I now actually live in the place where you can get it. Still living here, it's pretty hard to find, but all right, I'll get started on the comments here. So Jennifer says, how have the last month been? Well, March has been a very busy month because I've been doing primarily 2 things. I've been working a lot, and I've been working on stuff for the lawsuit. And I have not been doing TaskRabbit, just simply because I've not been getting booked. There's really just, I don't know when it's going to pick back up. And from what I can see online, the market's pretty slow for that right now anyway. So hopefully this summer, that'll be my main income again. But right now, I'm doing Uber Eats and DoorDash, and essentially doing that full time, just not intentionally. But that's getting me by until TaskRabbit picks back up. And what I'm doing in the meantime, like with the flexible schedule that job gives me, I am working on stuff for the lawsuit. And that's been a lot of what this month has been, because I have done a lot of writing and research, and was actually supposed to have a hearing on the 23rd, which I ended up canceling, but I ended up canceling it because I got the information I needed, but then I just had to schedule another one for the end of April, so we'll see what happens with that. But just so you know, I will go into more detail about the lawsuit later as more people come onto the stream, but that whole thing, it's moving forward, at least, I can say that. We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, I just tidied up my room. I need to do that. That's probably not going to happen, though. My goals, I told my roommate yesterday I'm not planning on taking any more days off for the rest of the month to get caught up. I might have to take like a half day here and there to get some stuff done, but I'm at a point with the lawsuit where I don't have to file anything for a week or two. So basically, what I'm going to try to do is just for the next week or two, I'm going to go and maybe not tidy up my room, but some other things that need caught up on. Get a few of those things done. So one of my projects recently is every day off I've taken, I try to get rid of like 3 tabs on my computer because with the way my life's been the last couple years, it's just been putting up tabs and leaving them there because then I never have time to do whatever needs done on that tab. So, Jennifer says you look good. How do you feel? Well, thank you because I don't feel good. I glad I at least look like I somewhat look decent, but I have got a lot going on. I'm not sleeping very well because I'm working a lot, and I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to get myself back on a sleep schedule where I'm getting up during like normal human hours and not waking up at like 7 p.m. Um, I'm also, I mean, I think what it is like I'm stressed about money. I'm stressed about the lawsuit, and I just need to get myself in a better place with all of those things, and I think that'll help every aspect. So in general, I'm really not feeling very good. Like I'm kind of just not in a good place day to day, but at the same time, like I'm like I'm working on what I need to do to get into a better place, whether it be working, getting out of this godforsaken house, or like you moving forward on the lawsuit and taking care of that stuff. So it's just all in the process of being done right now, and just being in the middle of all of that is pretty miserable. It does help a little bit. It's not warm here. It doesn't like, I mean, it snowed yesterday, but like it does, it's like 70 today and it snowed yesterday, but the Ohio doesn't completely warm up until about mid-June. And um, one of the things that I think has put me in slightly better spirits is just the temperature change. I mean, it's still freezing, but we have every once in a while we have a day that's get up to like 65 during the day, and that helps because like when you're depressed and you just there nothing's going right, then when it's also 20 degrees below zero, and I mean it just makes it so much worse. So having like a nice spring day does help things. Jennifer says, what do you do for income now? So my plan is I was going to make the video of the 2023 financial goals. And then when I was thinking about what all I needed to put in there, I realized because I haven't been making the monthly budget reviews that you guys don't really know where my income's coming from. So I thought I should address that in that 2023 goals video, but then the video itself is already going to be super long. And if I talk about work, that's going to make it a lot longer because that's kind of a lengthy topic. So what I decided I was going to do is make, after I get that goals video done, a separate video talking about what I'm doing for work in 2023. So there will be like an entire video on this topic, but for right now, just to address your question, like what I'm doing is I am primarily working through TaskRabbit, which is an app that books, well, different services, but I'm mostly on there for furniture assembly. And because the app is owned by IKEA, that's most of the tasks that they put through the app anyway, is just building their furniture. And so I like that. Um, the problem is that it was so busy last summer. Like people were begging me for open spots. I was working 6 and 7 days a week, and then starting in September, it started to die off to the point that December I had hardly any work, and January I literally didn't have any at all. Um, Now February was pretty dead. Um, in March, I had a few hours booked of tasks, but like maybe 10 hours for the whole month. So I make really good money doing that. Right now, I'm making about 35 an hour, and I like doing it, but the volume right now is just not there. But I would say that furniture assembly, whether it be for TaskRabbit or if somebody is referred to me and we do it off the app, like that's my main income. And I think that when I don't have a lot of income, or like when I don't have a lot of opportunities for high paying jobs, when it's I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, but I'm frustrated because I am here and there looking for work, and what's frustrating about it is the jobs that come up that I think that I would be interested in and that I might have a chance of getting hired for, a lot of them pay between like $15 and $17 an hour. And that's just not appropriate. Like when I got a job in 2015 and it was $17 an hour, I considered that good money. Like that was a really good job. Now it paid $17 an hour, plus I got a 20% discount on my housing, plus there were like commissions and bonuses. So it wasn't even just 17 an hour. But here it is, if I can count, 8 years later, and we are getting paid the same or less when with inflation and rent, because I can say that was an apartment complex I worked at where I made $17 an hour. My rent there was $8.99 a month. It's $1,700 a month for the same apartment now, 8 years later. And yet I'm getting paid less. So that's why I'm saying is like TaskRabbit is my only opportunity I know of to make a decent hourly wage. Um, and before I get to your second question, Jennifer, about how much I make, I'll tell you what else I'm doing. So TaskRabbit's my main job, and then below that, I'm kind of doing a mixture of DoorDash and Uber Eats. Um, that's actually right now what I'm primarily doing. Um, but I have to make this clear, and I'm going to say this in my video when I talk about what jobs I'm doing this year. My profession is not being a DoorDash driver. I don't feel like I should have to say that, but apparently I do, because my elderly roommate apparently thought that I had chosen that as a career, and that that is just what I was pursuing as a life goal. Um, I don't really understand how anyone could think that, but that's yeah, that's what he thought. So I just wanted to make that clear to everyone. I haven't just decided to pursue that as a profession. It's just something I'm doing to get me by until TaskRabbit picks back up. Um, because I live in a small town where there aren't any opportunities for jobs, really. So that's just how I have to make money. Oh, and then there's like kind of a tier under that. I do Instacart. It's terrible. I only do that if nothing else is available, and it's so slow. Shipped is not even available here, and things like Roadie and a few of the other like little apps like that, um, they are available in Columbus, and I'll turn them on when I'm up there. But I only do that if I'm at like if I'm already in Columbus for something. It's not worth driving up there to do that. With that said, yeah, I mean, I'll go into way more detail on all of that when I make my video about jobs and what I'm doing for work in 2023. and what I'm going to be working toward for the rest of 2023 to try to like make my income a little bit easier. Okay, so Jennifer says, "Are you moving out?" Yes. So I know you all know I have made probably every live stream I've complained about my roommates, but I'm very miserable here. I was put in this position because, well, a series of events, but essentially I took the job with the fraternity. For the girl to support her, and then she ghosted me. Um, and at that point, I didn't have any other options left. But when they reached back out to take the second position that they gave me, because I didn't have anywhere to live and I didn't have any money and I didn't have any job prospects, so I took it. And then that ended up being a disaster, which again, like I said last live stream, eventually there is a video coming. But that video is going to be hard for me to make because there's a lot of actual pictures of stuff in the house and little snippets of video that I want to edit into it. So there's a lot more that goes into making that video than me just talking. Um, I'm going to be telling the story, but I'm also going to be showing you guys what happened. And so it's going to take me longer to make that video than it does, even though I take forever to make videos normally. So, what I'm talking about here is basically I'm sorry, my roommate's phone just went off and I lost a train of thought. Oh yes, so yes, I'm moving out. Basically, there's everything you can imagine wrong with the situation that I'm living in now. I hate it here, but the thing is, I got here because I didn't have anywhere else to go. And then, of course, that's the time that you get taken advantage of, and that's exactly what's happening here. Somebody sees you in need, so they take advantage of it. And I'm trying to get away from that. And I also really need to be around Columbus because that's where my work is. But I also can't justify moving to Columbus until the work picks up, because what if it doesn't? Last summer was great, but what if something is different this year and I'm not getting work? I don't want to move to Columbus and then still not get any work. So, and then it's really hard for me because I'm behind on everything, guys, like months behind on bills. I don't know how to save the money to get up there because I'm going to need, at a minimum, a security deposit. So, when I can't even pay my monthly bills, how am I going to make that? And that's a big thing that I'm struggling with right now. Oh, and then also, Jennifer, yes, I'm moving out because my roommate is moving out. He won't give me a straight answer about anything, but he's like the head roommate. He has the lease on the place and he subleases the rooms to the rest of us. And the thing is, he's giving up the apartment, but he won't tell me a straight answer about whether it's this year or whether it's next year. So I'm just not going to risk it. Basically, I'm like, look, I'm tired of waiting for you to tell me if you're leaving or not. I'm just going to go. And I'm going to go as soon as I get the money. And that's the thing I'm struggling with, is that we made this gentleman's agreement that, I wouldn't leave here at a time that put him in like financial strain, because there's only certain times a year that he can rent the room out. And if I would move out, say like in May, he would have to pay for the place himself the whole summer because nobody is going to move here in the summer because it's a college town. But at the same time, like, he's definitely exploiting me financially, and there's just nothing I can do about it because, I just am such in a bad place financially right now. I would be much better off if I just disappeared and then moved to Columbus. But then I have the concerns of like, well, rental verifications, what if they need to contact him at some point in the future or something like that. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, like in my mind about that right now. Also, hold on, guys. Turn my heat off. It's really hot in here. Okay, so um, Jennifer says, "How much do you make monthly on TaskRabbit?" Well, I would make a lot if I were able to work full time. Um, there's some logistics things with that makes that not technically possible, but because it pays so much, it's okay that I work less than 40 hours a week. Um, I, you know, I don't really have a good month from last year to show as an example because it seemed like the busiest months were also the months that I had papers due for court. And so I was having to take a lot of time off during the times I was getting booked for the most work because I was, um, well, I forget the point I was going to make there, but basically I could have made a lot more money than I did. But if you think about it, right now I'm charging $35 an hour, and so that's what, $1,200 a week if I'm working full time. So that's $4,800 a month, which is not like great money, but it is to me because I have very rarely ever made even halfway decent money, and that's like more than double what most people are making. So, I mean, I would really be doing pretty okay and be able to not worry about money and to make, um, like, basically, um, I could make some progress on my financial goals too. Um, if I was just working the job I already have full time. Um, but I need to get up there to make that happen. So I'm getting behind in the comments here, so let me try to get through this. Um, Sandra says, made it to the stream. If you have any spare time, maybe can keep your mind occupied by taking up some free online courses to learn new software to be able to work off-site one day. Just keeping busy. What what software in particular? Because like I've worked remotely. My last tech job, well, actually, most of the time I worked in the office, but we were allowed to work remotely. Um, but there wasn't any special software. I mean, there was some like internal stuff that they built that you had to learn, but I mean, we'd just access that from the computer. It wasn't like we were developing software or anything like that. Um, I definitely do not have time for classes. I barely have time to sleep. Um, I have so many life responsibilities right now that like I'm way behind on everything. So I definitely can't um, add to that. But if you can tell me what you have in mind, I can look into it and see if there's a way that I could make it work at some time in the future. I think I saw a comment from you later on, something about remote work. So I'll talk more about that when I get down there. There's a reason that I'm not doing remote work, which is another reason that I need to get to Columbus. All right. Let's see here. We who are about to die salute you. Oh, I was talking to Sandra. Okay. I have a bad habit of keeping tabs open for no apparent reason. Yeah, so you're talking about tabs on on Chrome. I don't do it for no reason, but see, here's what happens. I'll run into something, like whatever it is. Um, I'll run into something and it's like, I need to keep this tab open on a tab to remind me to go back and do it. But then if it's anything that takes more than like a second or two to do, I don't have time right then. And because my time's so limited, it is very hard for me to find time in the future to do it. So what I end up with is tasks that I need to remind myself to do keep coming in, and then very rarely do any of them get taken care of. So I literally have tabs up from 2020. I'm trying to work through some of them. I did within the past week. I've gotten through like 10 that I've been able to eliminate. But these aren't up there just because I don't want to deal with them and I'm not, and like I'm being lazy. It's like for one of them, for example, is it's a bank account that I need to call and close out and get like the $2 out of it that I have. But the banks only open like normal bank hours. And so like I need to find a time during normal hours on a weekday to call them and close the account. There's another one that is my old bill from having internet when I lived in Parkersburg. I There's a $4 credit on my account. I need to call them and get that credit. Um, so that's so Jennifer, I saw your comment. I'll get to that. I'll explain why I can't use the bookmark feature. Um, yeah, that won't work for me because my brain just doesn't work that way. Um, so yeah, so that's what's going on with the tabs. Uh, let's see here. Um, oh, and the other thing is my computer is 11 years old, so it kind of runs slow anyhow. And just imagine that you have a bunch of windows, and all of those windows open together. You probably have 75 tabs open. It kind of weighs heavily on the computer's resources. Um, Oh, okay. We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, I have 65 plus tabs. Yeah, and I just estimated that I probably have 75. And that's after having gone through and worked through some of those in the last week and closed them off. I'm at the point where if I add more, I have to remove some just to be able to get to the current added tab. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know if you're using Chrome, but I've gotten to that point. So basically, I have one main window that has like 50 tabs on it. And then there's like other windows that are open based on like certain things. Like I have one that's just lawsuit research stuff. I have another one that's just streaming stuff. So it's got a window open for YouTube, one for Freevee, which is a free version of Amazon Prime, um, one for HBO Max, and one for Disney Plus. Now you might be like, well, why don't you just watch that on your TV? Like you can just click on the app. Well, I'm poor, so I don't have a smart TV. Um, so I can't even get those apps. So that's why I watch it on my computer. Um, so yeah, I mean, not being poor would actually be a pretty good solution to a lot of my problems. Um, let's see. So Jennifer says, what do you have in Columbus? Do you have an apartment lined up? Well, so the best thing I can say for that is what do I have in Columbus? Um, so I do TaskRabbit, and TaskRabbit is they provide service only in major cities. And Columbus is, I don't know, they keep moving in the rankings, but it's around in the top 10 biggest cities in the country. And they so they're one of the cities that TaskRabbit operates in. The problem is where I live is an hour and a half drive from Columbus. It's about 70 miles. Um, well, depending, just to the outskirts of the city, it could be farther depending on where I'm going. So that's like a big thing that I'm running into is without going into all the logistics because they're boring, but basically, if work was available, I would be able to fit a lot more work into my workday and make my day more profitable if I was living there. Because living here and driving up there for work, I have two issues. Number one, I can't be there as early in the day because, like, I just can't do mornings. Like, some people want you there at 8 a.m. Well, I'd have to wake up at 4 a.m. to get to Columbus by 8 a.m. So there's just no way that's going to happen. Um, Now, what I'm trying to do is, and this is a new experiment I'm trying this week. I've set my schedule to start in Columbus at 1 p.m. and go to 7 p.m. every day. Um, I don't mind going later if the job runs over, but what that does is it allows me to wake up at 9 a.m., which is still later for most people. Um, it gives me 2 hours to get ready, which is, getting ready at a leisurely pace, doing some morning stuff, and then eating breakfast without feeling rushed, and then 2 hours to drive there, which, depending on where I go, sometimes it takes up to an hour and 45 minutes. So that allows for a stop at a rest area and a stop to either get food or a drink or something on the way. Um, so basically, if I was in Columbus, it would cut 2 hours off that and potentially get 2 hours extra work every day, 5 days a week, which would be 10 hours a week. Um, and um, so the other thing is too, is you asked, what do I have in Columbus? Well, I have that job that operates only in that area, which would be a lot easier and less time consuming and more profitable if I was living in the area where it exists. Plus, I've been doing DoorDash and Uber Eats. Well, in Athens, Uber Eats closes. It closes at 10 p.m. So in Columbus, I can multi-app every day, all day, because Uber Eats and DoorDash are 24/7. Plus, there's a lot more restaurants that are open later at night. So it would actually probably work better that way too. There are some apps I mentioned, like Roadie and Shipped, that only work in Columbus, that don't work in the small market that I'm at here. So when I'm doing the gig app stuff, it gives me more opportunities there. Plus, Columbus has a lot of just like one-off gigs that are easy to get, where you can make a couple $100s in a day. That's definitely not an option where I live. Um, and then, I just feel like there are more opportunities for work and more um, resources. Plus, if I'm there, I don't have to worry about my car, because you guys know I put like 60,000 miles on my car last year driving back and forth. The thing has a 204,000 on it now. I don't think it can make another year of doing that. And I certainly am not in a place to be able to afford replacing it. So that's going to be a whole other issue. So I'm trying to avoid that. Um, oh, and then, do I have an apartment lined up? I have a couple of places picked out that I'd like to apply to, but before I even apply, I want to make sure I have the money together to be able to move in. The security deposit, enough to pay like a prorated first month's rent, probably deposits for my utilities, just because I haven't had them in my name for a couple of years. Um, yeah, so that's something I'm working on. But I do have a couple places picked out, and I'm still looking into more places. It's just going to be, how quickly can I get the money together to do that? Sandra says, you're good in front of the camera. There's a lot of demand for online tutors for English or language exchange. There's also a lot of demand for transcribing or sci-fi story submissions. Okay, so I know you're talking about remote work. So what I don't know if you know what VIP Kid is. Um, there's another YouTuber who also does personal finance, who is in the Columbus area, that I actually know. Like, we know each other in person. Um, I don't know if she still does, but she used to be some higher up in VIP Kid. She got me to sign up for it, and I went to a training that they had in person in Columbus before COVID. And I realized after that training that it was just not going to work for me. I mean, first of all, I don't like kids, but I also was an education major for a while. I mean, I was just going to work with high school, because like I don't even think they're kids, they're just adults. But I I know that VIP Kid is mostly young kids. I don't think I'd like that. But beyond that, I was still going to do it anyway because I needed the money. But what happened was I I went to the training and I realized that it doesn't even make sense money wise. It had to do with like how you had to have these props for each class you were teaching, and then the cost of what you would get paid versus the cost of what the props were. I'm like, this, I'm not going to make money. Like, I'm actually going to lose money based on the expenses that I'm spending in order to have these props that they want you to have for the class. So, so that's why I don't do that. Um, Now, there's a bigger reason. I'm gonna respond to the second half of your statement here too, but there's a bigger reason I don't work remotely. See, 2 years ago, 2021, when I accepted the position with the fraternity, and it was going to start in August of that year, the idea was when I got moved into the fraternity house, I was going to work two jobs. I was going to work the fraternity job, and then I was going to work remotely because I'd worked remotely at my tech job. I was going to work remotely from the fraternity house. Well, when I ended up moving to the second fraternity house, and those guys were god awful, there was no way that I could do that kind of work for two reasons. Number one, I couldn't keep a schedule because I couldn't sleep. You know, they were having parties until 7 a.m. So there was just no way that I could have a job schedule because I couldn't sleep. So there was no way I could get to a job. And the second thing is it was so damn loud in my apartment in the house all the time that like the remote jobs that I was going to have, well, one, I mean, you literally couldn't concentrate no matter what it was, but like also more than likely it's going to be like a customer service type job, and there's no way I could be on phones with as loud as those guys were. And that leads me to the same problem I have here. I'm the only person in this house that works. Everybody else is on welfare or whatever it is that they're on. And no one ever leaves this house. And they, like, because you think that, like, when you're living with people, if you're, like, most people leave at some point during the day. Like, they either go to work or to school or something. But they're always here, all of them. And we've talked about this, about how they're disrespectful and extraordinarily loud. Well, because they're here all the time and because they are so loud, it means that there is no way that I could work from home again because of the noise. So it doesn't matter if I live in a nursing home or if I live in a fraternity house. It doesn't matter. They, like, no one will shut the fuck up. That's what it boils down to. And that's why I need a place of my own. Um, so I'm looking at just getting my own apartment, so at least remote work will be an option, because it just isn't here. It would be a great option because I live in a small town where there aren't work opportunities, but because of my living situation, it just can't work. Um, okay. We Were About to Die Salute says, how do you delay your monthly bills? Well, so it's always a balancing act, but like I do the best I can just because I'm not making enough money to like get by. So kind of what happened. Okay, so just to break this down, I got behind in August of 2022, and it was because I had that entirely enormous paper that I had to write for the lawsuit, or not for the lawsuit, for the appeal. And I had to take quite a bit of time off working to get that done. And I've been behind ever since. And sometimes I get caught up a little bit, and then sometimes I get even further behind. That's where I'm at right now, is the furthest behind I've ever been. What happens is, I'll give you an example. Like with my phone. My phone has been a month past due for the last 2 years. But what happens is I'll wait until I get the shut off notice, meaning it's almost 2 months behind. And then I go, and you can go online and make a payment arrangement. And so I basically pay it essentially 2.5 months late every month. I pay it the latest possible date that it can be paid without it being shut off. Um, that's just an example with the phone, but like that's basically where everything is right now. Um, and then what will happen is sometimes I'll get a little bit further behind on one thing to catch up on another thing. And then it's always just a balancing act to keep everything turned on. Um, yeah. So again, that's why I'm hoping that TaskRabbit picks up here soon. I know I looked last night and I didn't work for TaskRabbit in March because I was still in Morgantown. But in April, it wasn't until about midway through April that I started getting tasks. And then May was a really busy month. So I'm hoping that's the case this year too. We Were About to Die Salute You says, I was able to do it once with my electric bill, but they called me up and wanted it in 2 weeks. So I had like a month and a half behind before they threatened to shut off the electric. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's basically the same thing I'm doing. The only difference is the utilities here are not in my name. They're in my roommate's name. And I'm paying him, like he pays it up front, and then I'm paying him back, I guess. Um, Water bill, they delay it like 90 days. Okay. Yeah. So I mean that's the thing is you just have to know how far you can stretch things. Um, and I'm not saying you should live life like this. I'm just saying like if you have to for survival, this is how you have to do it. Oh, okay. So Jennifer says, "My God, close your tabs, people. Use bookmark function." Okay. So here's the thing. This is not just a computer thing with me. This is a in-person thing too. If something gets put away, it does not exist anymore. I have really bad memory, and everything has to be in the open. Now, my place, I would say, is organized. I know where everything is, and it's usually stacked neatly and bundled together and um, in like an order that makes sense. But it's all out in the open. I don't close my closet doors. Well, I actually don't even have furniture in here, but like everything is like sitting on top of something because the thing is, if anything goes in a drawer, or like in the sense of the computer, if it was bookmarked, I would, I mean, I might find it years later, but I would absolutely forget to do it. I would forget it exists, and I would be completely screwed. And that's kind of the whole point of having the tab up, is so that I visually see it when I'm doing other things. And I hate this place. It's so that I can see, like, and be reminded of it. Like, there's literally stuff that, well, I have to kind of think about what's in my storage unit because I don't have, like, furniture in here. But, I mean, yeah, there's stuff that's been stuck in the storage unit, and then, I forget it exists. Um, so, like, I'll go buy a new one. I'll be like, oh, I need something. And I go buy it, and then, like, later I go in the storage unit, I'm like, I already had one of those. I don't even remember getting this. So that's why I have to have my tabs open. Um, it's just a memory thing. And I know with me having memory issues, I just know myself and I know how I am. And because of this, like I just know what works for me and like the little workarounds that I've made. We Were About to Die Salute You says, that is a good idea. I need to move them to another window. Yeah, it's just a way. I mean, it doesn't so much help you in the sense that like you still have the same number of tabs open, but it's more organized. One, you don't have the problem that you're having where you have so many tabs across that like you can't even see the last one. Um, but it keeps it more organized if you have, like I do, like I have my streaming window, and then I have my lawsuit research window, and then I have my, this is my regular window that I would just have open if I didn't have any other projects going on window. And that's the one that has all the tabs on it. Yeah, so I mean, you guys probably would not believe it with how my life is right now, but I actually am like extraordinarily organized. I actually, um, this sounds ridiculously nerdy, but I'm actually usually using a project management tool in order to organize and keep track of all the stuff for the lawsuit. So I've got like a calendar and all these lists and stuff. All right, we were about to salute you. Talking, Jennifer says, bookmark will erase the step one was on when they were on a tab. Well, that's true too. For me, it's more of like a forgetting thing though. Jennifer says, how are your relationships going? With friends, parents, any new dates? It is important for mental health to have some good relationships. So, I mean, as we've talked about here kind of in the past, I don't think I have a relationship with my mom anymore. I lost that essentially. Well, I think it's fine to tell you guys this. Like, I lost that essentially because of the girl. But I think that I was right in doing that. Like, it sucks that I don't have a relationship with my mom and she's old. But what she was doing isn't right. And I don't care how bad things are with the girl. It's not okay for my mom to say the things she was saying about her and, you know, just, you know, vilifying her and stuff. I mean, you can't, you know, you can't just, because you've decided that somebody's bad, you know, you can't just talk and say terrible things about them. Like, that's, they can be bad, that's fine, but, you know, you don't have to also do the wrong thing and say stuff like that. And then the additional step for me and my mom is, my mom has a history of that anyhow, and I've told her before to stop it. So she just decided to cut off all contact with me instead of not talking shit about my ex. So, you know, it's even though the girl's not in my life, like I stood up for her just because what my mom was doing was wrong, period. Like, it didn't matter whether she was technically right or wrong with what she was saying. It was just that it's not okay to talk about somebody like that. So I hope that made sense. Oh, and that's just my mom. So my dad's been out of my life for a few years. He wants nothing to do with me. Again, kind of the same situation. He wanted to control me. He wanted to track my location at all times. I told him absolutely not. He threw a fit about it, and now he won't speak to me. That happened back in 2019. And, you know, my roommates, obviously you see how that situation's going. And I have not been on any dates. I don't have any, oh, well, hey, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer just sent 50, and I always get this right. I don't, if is it Krona or Kroner? So thank you for the super chat, and I will use that to buy myself something. So maybe I'll figure that out. But so basically, though, to finish answering your question about the relationship thing, I haven't been on any dates. I don't really have any time. It would have to be a very patient person that would be willing to work around my schedule right now. I don't have that. I do have a friend here in town. Still, I guess she's like a pretty newer friend. It's not somebody that I'm going to be dating. Just because, like, she has a kid, and I won't date anyone with kids. I don't like kids. I'm not putting myself in that situation. Um, but we talk a good bit, just about every day. And so I'm we've talked about, because our birthdays are like kind of like around the same time, so we're thinking about doing something for the birthday. Once it gets warmer, we'll probably hang out. So I guess I have a friend, but just I don't want you guys to like jump on that and think it's going to become anything, because right from the start, it's not going to be. Um, Oh yeah. But that's all that's going on right now. I've got that one person that I'm talking to, and with me working all the time, it's super hard to make friends. Um, so we'll just kind of see how that goes, and then I mean, I guess I'm open to dating. It's just I'm not I'm not really like foreseeing that happening with because like all I do is work. So how's that gonna work? Um, like if I did meet somebody, I don't. I mean, the way my life is, and knowing that with working all the time, I'm just barely getting by. There's no way that I could. Um, there's just like no way that I could fit somebody in my life unless they're like, unless they're super chill, and I can just be like, hey, you want to do a ride along while I do DoorDash? Because like, otherwise, unless they go to work with me, I don't know how that would work. Um, okay, We Hear About to Die Salute You says, how do you prevent tabs from erasing if the computer needs to update or you need to restart it for some reason, or even a power outage were to happen? Okay, so I don't know which browser you're using, but I'm using Chrome. And Chrome has a thing where even if I were just to like completely like manually turn off my computer right now without saving anything, when I restart it, it'll either automatically reopen the tabs, all the tabs that I had, or it will ask me, it'll pop up a thing and say like, it didn't shut down correctly, do you want to restore all tabs? And then I can do that. Now I have had what you're saying happen on Safari, if that's what you're using. But that was years ago. I use Chrome because it uses a lot fewer resources for the computer. And since my computer's 11 years old, it kind of like doesn't run that well anyway. Um, oh yeah, that is weird because it reopens all of my windows and all of my tabs in Chrome. I actually just had to shut the computer down manually, like force quit it basically, a couple days ago because it like froze up. I forget what I was doing, but it like completely froze up, and so I had to hold the power button until it shut itself off, then completely reboot iOS. Um, and then Chrome opened itself on its own and also reopened all the tabs on its own without asking me. Um, so it's pretty good about doing that. But I also don't have the newest version of Chrome. So if you're updated to the newest version, I don't know if that still works. I think my version of Chrome is from like 2 years ago, which is when they stopped supporting my operating system. Because again, my computer's from 2012, so it's as updated as it can be, and it's the most updated version of Chrome that works for that operating system. Guys, I'm still using iMovie 2009, if that tells you anything. All right, so, Jennifer, do you have any recommendations on what I should get for a snack? Also, We Who Are About to Die Salute You says Chrono. I was talking about, okay, I was talking about the super chat. Chrono, it's like that payroll processing system. Jennifer says it's kroner. Okay, kroner in Sweden, like crowns. So Jennifer does. This might be a stupid question, but I guess does Sweden not use the euro? I just kind of thought they would. I mean, it's like common knowledge here that that even when the UK was in the EU, they still had their own currency, but most countries use the euro. I don't know, but and then we who are about to die salute you says Kroner, the payroll system I think is called Kronos. Yeah, yeah, payroll is called Kronos. I can't remember where I had that we used Kronos. And then of course Kronos is the god of time in Greek mythology, I think, but it's spelled CH rather than K, although in Greek, CH and K is the same letter. They'd both be kappa, so that makes sense, I guess. Um, and Jennifer says, never heard of that payroll system, and I am a payroll specialist. Oh, I didn't know that. Not currently working as one though. Yeah, I didn't know that. That might just be an American thing. I just remember like the colors, like the background's black, and then I think it's like orange, and then it's Chronos spelled with a K. I think we might have used it at Target, if I remember right. We who are about to die salute you says, I had an electrician who would bring his wife along when he had to fix a circuit in my house by replacing outlets. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah, you know, actually, like with DoorDash, that's not super uncommon. A lot of people will either bring their animal with them in the car or they'll bring their kids while they dash. Because if you think about it, like, say it's like a single parent household, right? And you're poor enough that you have to do DoorDash. You probably don't have money for childcare. And the way that you can save money, even if you had the money to pay for it, is you just bring them along with you in the car when you're going along. Um, Same thing, I guess, like, you know, if you don't have anybody at home to take care of your animal, you can just bring them with you while you dash. Now, I wouldn't do that with TaskRabbit. That would not be okay. But they could do a ride along while I'm doing DoorDash. That'd be fine. That would have to be like a really down girl, though. Because, like, I'm saying, like, nobody would be okay with that. So they would really have to like me. Okay, Jennifer says no. Sweden does not use euro. We use kroner. Oh, okay. You probably said that before I even said that in chat. I just didn't read it. Okay. TMUSA says Kronos is for time and attendance. My organization uses that. It has a new name now, somewhat recently. We also use Workday. God, Workday is terrible. I mean, I'm probably anybody in the U.S. that's watching this has had to use Workday. If your organization didn't use it internally, you probably used it as like an applicant tracking system. Oh, man, it is bad. We use that both at Target and at Whole Foods. And I've created so many accounts on there applying for different jobs. And we were about to die salute you is saying to Jennifer, I think it was bought out. I looked it up, but do not see a page on it anymore. Yeah, that was, well, up until 2019. So anything after that, I don't know. It could well have been bought. Jennifer says, I will always choose chocolate, like a nice, I don't know that word, Marabou chocolate bar as a snack. For a healthy one, I would choose avocado toast with sea salt. Okay, I mean, that is super healthy, yeah. um, Now, there's nowhere here in Athens I could get that. I'd have to get that in Columbus. But I'll tell you, if you guys have, I got hooked on this when I was living in Oklahoma, on the reservation. There was this place called Tropical Smoothie Cafe. It was the only one I'd ever seen, but they've expanded into Columbus. And they've got one thing there. It might not be healthy. I feel like it has a lot of calories, but at least the ingredients are healthy. And it's so good. It's cheap. It's like $7. And it's so filling. Like, I can eat this and only have to eat one more time throughout the day. But if you guys have a tropical, oh, okay, I see. So if you guys have a tropical smoothie cafe, go there and get this thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's like, it is a flatbread with peanut butter, bananas, granola, and honey. And it is incredible. I mean, and like I said, all the ingredients are healthy. I don't know about the calories, but and it's so filling. I got hooked when I was living in Muskogee, Oklahoma, when I was working for Battelle like 3 years ago. Never had heard of the place, and then it just popped up in Columbus, and now they have like 10 locations in Columbus. So when I'm working, I'll stop in and get it. I've been meaning to try their sides too, because they have jalapeno corn and maple glazed sweet potato bites, which I get so tired of fast food, and that's something like new and different. So it sounds vaguely healthy, so that might be a good option too. We who are about to die salute you. I wonder if Sweden, Norway, and Finland all use kroner. Jennifer says no, the Nordic countries have their own different currencies. Okay. We who are about to die salute you says, yeah, my previous employer switched over to Paycom. Yeah, I know Paycom. They're actually based out of Ohio, I believe. I know they have an office in Dublin, but I think they might be out of more like the Dayton, Cincinnati area. I just know they're a smaller company, like different than like ADP, because a lot of the jobs I've had have had ADP, and they're like a huge company. TMUSA says, not to belabor the topic, but Kronos won. And then I see down below, Kronos is now called UKG. Okay. We were about to die salute you. Tropical Smoothie Cafe. It's like the Midwestern Jamba Juice. Yeah, I don't know if I've actually ever been to Jamba Juice. I've seen them. And when I lived in Florida, just down the street, we had I think it was a Planet Smoothie. And I know there's some of those in Columbus as well. But I used to go there. Because when I lived in Florida, like, you know, I lived there in summer. It was super hot. So I used to get one quite often. Now, there used to be one at Easton in Columbus, but I think that went out of business. There's definitely one in Gahanna, which is like on the border of Gahanna and New Albany, east of Easton. I know there's one over there because I've gone over there to pick up for DoorDash. Let's see. I have heard about that chain. Yeah, Planet Smoothie. I wish there was one around here to try. Jennifer says, me and my boyfriend of 10 years broke up. I went to Spain, and he is going to USA now. We both needed to get away, apparently. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how you feel about the breakup, but, you know, hopefully you're doing okay with that. I know some people are upset, some people are, I don't know, happy about it, but depending on how you guys broke up, I guess. Oh, you went to Spain. Are you in Spain right now? Or where did you go if you're not still there? I remember you saying, I think, well, it's been a couple years, but I remember you saying that you were going to plan a trip for yourself to the US. Are you still planning on doing that? But yeah, like, I mean, I feel like that's a normal thing. I feel like when you're a couple, you like, you know, you build that life together and you kind of, I don't know, you kind of do that stuff as a couple, and then when you break up, you go and you like do some things that just you want to do. Um, oh, let's see. Jennifer says, it is all good. I'm moving to the south of Sweden tomorrow. I'm in Spain now, going home tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so Jennifer, I don't know that much about Sweden, so let me ask you this. Okay. Is Sweden like Canada where like 90% of the population lives like on the very southernmost border just because of the temperature? Cuz like Canada is super nice in the summer. Like it even gets hot there. Like it's but like it's kind of like where I'm at, like because I'm not that far from Canada. I'm like maybe 4 hours drive south. But like it's winter 9 months of the year, so so everybody would just basically live in the warmest spots possible. I guess is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people also live on the West Coast in British Columbia because it's you get the like the warm air off the Pacific Ocean. Um, so Jennifer, most of my geographic knowledge about Sweden comes from working for TaskRabbit, which is owned by IKEA. So a lot of the products are named like town names in Sweden, um, and over time I've come to realize that like there's a series called Malm, Malm, and there's a town called, well, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but Malmo, um, and so I don't know the point in saying that, but I guess with the products I work with, they're all the names at least are all in Swedish. And when I actually get to go to the store, I get to actually have some food. Um, I don't think it's in any way authentic Swedish food. Um, oh, okay, okay, cool. Well, all right. Well, I definitely didn't know that ahead of time. That's actually where you're moving, but that's a style of furniture that IKEA makes. Um, let's see. Oh, okay. So you're moving tomorrow. Where are you in Spain since you're leaving, if you don't mind me asking? Um, like if it's somewhere I've never heard of, that's fine. I was just wondering if you were in like a big city. Um, let's see. The routine. Oh, we who are about to die salute you says the routine of being okay. It is the attachment. The routine of being with someone or something is very foreign once the relationship is gone. Think of a job loss, etc. Yeah, that makes sense because like I know in times that I've been like it's like surprise you're laid off or surprise you're fired. Like you get upset, but at the same time, like you do have like this big sense of freedom. Um, so I get that. Oh, and Jennifer, I skipped over your comment here. Yes, USA is on my bucket list. Well, yeah, definitely come to the US. I mean, see like see all the stuff that everybody sees because the thing is most Americans have not seen those things. I live in a college town, and probably our biggest population of international students are from China. And when they come over here, before they even go to like the town that they're going to be studying in, they go to like New York and LA, and they see a lot of like all the cultural sites. And they're always so surprised when I talk to them, and they find out that like most Americans have never seen those things. Um, and I don't know why that is, but um, the things that are like the symbols of America, most Americans have not actually ever seen. But yeah, like when you come here, you definitely should see like all of those things. But then go to some normal places too. Go to like I don't know what you're interested in, but oh, you should come to Columbus. Okay, because I know you're into fitness. So if you come in February or March, I'd have to look that up. Come to Columbus to the Arnold Classic. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually lives in Columbus now, and he runs the Arnold Classic, which is like it's for all different sports, like every sport you can imagine, but it started out as a weightlifting competition. So I think that would be a cool thing for you. They have this huge exhibit, like with every like up and coming brand in the fitness industry, that or either have a table set up with information or giving out samples or something. So, and of course you get to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, so that'd be cool. Um, oh, and Sandra says, do you have a PayPal account as well for anyone out there who'd like to support your channel? I do. Give me 1 second here. I used to put it in the description of the videos, and I don't remember if I still do that or not. Yeah, okay. It is there. So if you look down in the description of this video, the first link is to Patreon, and the second link is to PayPal. Now, I do have a caveat on there with PayPal. I've always said that anything anybody sends me through PayPal will go directly to my debt. If for some reason you don't want me to use it for that, just make a note on it, and I won't. But I mean, honestly, any help is appreciated. My goal is still to do this full time. I'd love to just do this full time, put my life out there, and make YouTube my career. But there's been a lot of stuff come up over the years that has kind of gotten in the way of that. But with all the things that I'm working on and all the sort of hurdles I'm trying to jump over, I think that like once I get past all those, my ultimate goal is to build this channel into something big and into my full-time income. So any support in that direction is appreciated, is what I'm saying. Jennifer, okay, so we are pretty evenly spread out, but the most northern part of Sweden is less populated. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking, I mean, you guys must just be okay with the cold. I think Canadians are not. Like, if you live in Nunavut, which is like far up near the Arctic Circle, it's a new province in Canada, like they're pretty much, most people who live there are indigenous, so they've like always lived there and they're used to it. But like most people who are immigrants that were like either like French or English, they live like on the border of the US because it's the warmest possible part of Canada. Let's see. Okay, so and you're moving to that city. I have no idea how to pronounce that, so I'm not going to attempt it. And I feel like I feel like when people shop in IKEA in the US, when we're pronouncing the product names, we kind of pronounce it like you would pronounce Latin, where we have Latin completely in writing, right? We know exactly what it is in writing, but the spoken part of it has completely disappeared over the years. So nobody actually knows how the words are pronounced. You just kind of pronounce them however you want to. Um, okay, okay, and then where you're at in Spain right now, I also don't know how to pronounce that, even though I can speak Spanish. Um, Malaga, I don't know. Um, I have not actually heard of that, so. Um, and then you said, how's your fitness going? You were on a health kick there for a while. So I'll tell you what happened. I guess my fitness is not going, if, if I'm being honest. I'll tell you what happened. All right, so I always want to get into fitness, but it's a time thing. What happened was earlier this year. Now I'm busting into the ski. Um, I was just eating terribly, like just eating garbage all the time, and like every day I was going to the gas station getting like Skittles and stuff. And after a while, I just kind of became aware of how badly I was eating, and I was kind of disgusted with myself. So the first step was like, okay, stop going to the gas station every day and getting candy. Come on. So I stopped that, and then after I stopped that, I started feeling, I think, a little bit better about myself. Um, and then I was like, my gym membership has been expired for like 6 months. And at the time, I wasn't working in Columbus because I just wasn't getting any tasks with TaskRabbit. Normally, I would be able to normally I'd be able to like I wouldn't be able to go to the gym. Like it wouldn't even be a question. I would just know I don't have time because I'm commuting so much back and forth. But the fact that I'd been working for a month or two and staying local, I thought at least until work picked up again, I could do this. I could start working out. So I spent about a week. Oh, thank you, Sandra. I just I got an email. So thank you for sending that on PayPal. If you attached a note to it, I didn't see it in the little preview. So I'll either put it toward debt, or if you told me to use it for something else, I'll use it for that. So I really appreciate that because it's like obviously things are not great right now. So um, I okay. So basically, I decided that I was like, you know what, my trainer who I had had like when I was in Morgantown a year ago had made a schedule for me, and I just never started it. So I started running for about a week just to get myself reacclimated to the gym, and then after that, I started doing the schedule, and I did the first week great. I cut my running down to just half. I was gonna say half an hour. That's not right. Half a mile on the treadmill just to warm up, and then everything else was lifting. I learned how to use all the equipment, do the different exercises and stuff. I was doing really well, and then like the second week I started working in Columbus. I missed a couple days, and then basically after that, so the thing is, I was just like, I was working, and then after I started going to the gym, I started getting just exceptionally tired all the time. And I've never had that happen when I've been going to the gym before. I think it's just too much. With me working as much as I am on the lawsuit, and with me working as much as I am just like working to make money, I think that it was too much for my body to handle to also be doing the gym. So I had to kind of be reasonable with myself. I still have my membership. I'm still paying every month, but and I'm going to talk about this in my goals video, but like fitness is going to have to be a tertiary goal this year, because just what all I have going on in my life and the amount of time that I have and the amount of energy for like realistically what what my body can handle, as much as I want to go and get in shape and work out, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have to wait until 2024. What I'm actually thinking of is, I think, and I'm going to talk about this more in the goals video, but I think what's going to happen is 2023 is basically going to be lawsuit and working. And from working is also going to flow, you know, getting a little bit better off financially in different ways, saving some money, paying some stuff off, that sort of thing. But there's just not room in there really for fitness. And I think after the lawsuit, because the trial is February 2024. So after that's over, then I'll have more time, and I think I can replace the time I spend with the lawsuit with going to the gym. That's the plan anyhow. All right. And hey, John, thanks for joining. All right, now I'm not going to pronounce this right. Lutaru. Americans even pronounce IKEA wrong. It should be similar to IKEA or well, that looks the same to me. Or IKEA. Jennifer says yes, IKEA is how we say it, but my English pronunciation is pretty bad, so. Yeah, Jennifer, I don't know what your accent sounds like. You should make us a video so we can hear it. Yeah, so, okay, so here's the thing. The question is, do Americans say IKEA wrong? Because IKEA does have like video commercials in America, and IKEA says IKEA. So, what my suspicion would be is that it's something like Adidas. Which, by the way, guys, I finally got new shoes. I haven't had any bottoms, like soles in my shoes, since like September. I finally saved up enough rewards points that I could buy myself new shoes. So, so we have Adidas, right? It's Adidas in America. But they're from Germany, and they're named after Adolf Dassler. And in Germany, they're pronounced something like Adidas. Like, it's not that much different, but Adidas, Adidas. And it's not an accent thing, like they're actually saying the name of the company differently. But Adidas in America is actually pronounced Adidas. Like, they modified it for it to be more pronounceable in English. So I'm wondering if IKEA's done the same thing. Like, if it's like one way in Sweden, and then like another way in like English-speaking countries. So not that it's being mispronounced, but they've purposefully changed the pronunciation in some areas to make it more pronounceable for that area. I can actually find out about that. At some point this month, I will probably go to IKEA, and there is one girl there. She works in the restaurant. She's there every time I'm there, who is actually from Sweden, who works at IKEA, and I will ask her. She has a very heavy accent, so... let's see. Sandra says, no worries at all, to support your channel and use it for whatever you feel is necessary. Okay, okay, very cool. I don't have anything like on the top of my mind to spend it on. I mean, it could definitely be used for a lot of different things, so we'll see. Jennifer says, you speak Spanish, Mark? I have been in Spain for 3 months to I'm blind, hold on a second. Ledama? I can't tell if that's an RN or an M. for 3 months to learn it, but it is a pretty hard language to learn. Um, oh, okay. I was trying to figure out what that word was. Okay, so to me, Spanish is very easy. Now, I'm not fluent, but I do speak Spanish enough. Sometimes I sound like an idiot, but if I had to speak Spanish to get by, I could. Um, I'll also give you guys an example of me sounding like an idiot in Spanish. All right, so my second language was German. First language is English, second language German, but I learned it over a summer program in fourth grade, so I'm like, you know, I don't speak German. I just learned some stuff. But then in sixth grade, I started taking Spanish. And I took Spanish in sixth grade, and then I took it freshman year of high school and senior year of high school. And then I took a really good Spanish class when I was in college. And so to me, I don't think Spanish is difficult because I think what it is that English is such a difficult language. But since it's my first language, when I switch to something like Spanish that makes more sense and it like just I don't know. There are fewer exceptions to rules and things like that. Spanish seems easier to me than English. And like I've joked that like my Spanish grammar is better than my English grammar. But I am with Spanish, I can read chapter books, and I'm just over the threshold of where I can have some conversations in Spanish, where it's not just memorizing like responses to stuff, right? Like, because in school they'll first teach you like they'll have a question and then you have to know the answer to it. But it's when you can actually use the words and phrases and verbs that you know to respond to a question, like you put your own sentences together rather than just repeating something back. And I found that I'm kind of pretty capable of doing that, even if I sound really stunted. Um, so I don't know exactly what my level is, but um, I know because somebody asked me like when I had Marilyn, the fur roommate, on, and I asked her about wanting Taco Bell. The Somebody mentioned in the comments like, "Oh, you speak Spanish," and I'm like, "Well, really, I'm just speaking Spanish to her because she's Mexican, she's a Chihuahua." But like you know, I couldn't confidently speak Spanish, but I will say I can read and write Spanish pretty well. Um, and it's easier for me to read and write than it is to actually speak it and like formulate sentences or actually to like audibly pick it up. Um, but a good example of when I use Spanish most often is when I'm working in Columbus and I go into certain neighborhoods that like just don't have anything in English. There's a chain of Mexican grocery stores, and they all have inside them these little cafes. I love going in there and getting tacos, and they're super cheap. They're like $1.50 each. Um, and so I go in there, and of course I get stared at because I'm like the only white guy in there. But none of the signs are in English or anything, and no one in the cafe speaks English. So I can order for the most part. But this is my embarrassing story that I mentioned. One time I was at work in Columbus and I wanted to get tacos from there, and my boss wanted to order from there as well. But she wanted lime with it. And she ordered lime, but she's like, make sure you ask them um, to make sure that they gave you lime. And that was fine. But then I got there and I realized normally I just order and they hand it over to me and that's it, right? But I realized like I didn't really know how to ask about the lime. And for the love of me, I could not remember the word for lime, which it's lime, by the way. But I was like, I could not remember the name for lime in Spanish. So, so when she handed it to me, I asked her a question, and she looked at me like I was the dumbest person on earth. I asked her, and this is what I mean, where you get to the point with a language where you can formulate phrases or sentences based on the words you do know, even if you don't know how to correctly say what you're trying to say. So I asked her if the limon verde was in there, and she's like, "What the fuck?" um, and she had to be like, "Oh my god, this gringo." Uh, so yeah, so I asked for green lemon because I didn't know the word for lime. Um, I don't know why I told you guys that because that is embarrassing. Oh, thank you, Miranda. Um, Miranda just gave a super chat for $9.99. I've been watching you for years, but I've never caught you. Love your videos. Well, thanks. So I know, yeah, I haven't seen you on a live stream. When you came into the chat, or I mean, when you came into the onto the channel, um, did you find me through like the student loan videos and paying off debt, or was it through one of my other video topics? Just wondering. And sorry, I'm like laughing at myself because I did something really stupid in Spanish. Um, okay, so we're talking about learning Spanish. Oh, Jennifer says her autocorrect replaces the English with Swedish, and if I am too quick to press send, okay, yeah, mine does that the same. When I type in Spanish, it tries to change it to English. Um, Lutaru says, yes, Spanish is difficult, still a beginner after a year in a Spanish-speaking country, faking my way through a supermarket without them detecting that I don't understand much totally makes my day. Yeah. Um, I mean, like, I never really think about it like that when I walk into those ones in Columbus. It's more like they obviously know. Well, I mean, I don't know if they know if I speak Spanish or not, but they like obviously know I don't like belong in there, because I don't look Mexican. So, um, Jennifer says I speak German as well. After working with German tourists for so long, I think it is very useful to learn other languages. Yeah, so I had one of my professors, she was a Spanish professor in college. She told me that I have an ear for languages, and maybe that's true, and I just haven't like studied enough. But so I speak English as my first language. I learned some German in fourth grade, and I'm still interested in it. And then I've taken Spanish several times. So um, the thing about it is, I see, and you guys are talking about Spanish being difficult. For me, Spanish isn't difficult because not only do I think that it's easier than English, but they once I learned Spanish, it kind of opened up a whole world to me because now I can understand French, like not speaking it, but reading it. Like I can usually read something in French, walking it through Spanish, and then understanding it in English. And it's helped me a lot with Latin too. I'm using a lot of Latin right now because I'm dealing with stuff with my lawsuit, and because Spanish is a Romance language based off of um, well, a long time ago, based off of Latin. I can understand Latin generally better, which then in turn helps me with English because a lot of English words have Latin roots. So it's like kind of all like interconnected. Um, but yeah, I'm interested in, I guess, all of that. Um, and I know a tiny bit of Algonquian, which is a native language here. Um, I can tell you the river right over here is Hocken Hocken. Hocken Hocken CP means Hocking River. So like Mississippi, like that's that ending CP. That means river. Um, a lot of the native language wasn't preserved, but we know a few words from it. Um, and let's see. Jennifer says, "What other talents do you have?" Well, that's a good question because I don't know. Um, I can sing decently well. I used to play some instruments, but I haven't played anything in years. Um, since like 2008, I think was the last time. Um, I'm good with money. I can survive even being super poor, so that's a talent. Creative. Uh, um, let's see. Lutaru says, but English is pretty easy. No cases. Nouns nouns don't change. Pronunciation is the only kind of difficult thing. Yeah, and Lutaru, also, most Americans argue about the pronunciation of everything. There's so many regional differences, and then even in like the region, people will pronounce it differently or argue about what term should be used for it. And that's even more so when you compare like American English to British English. Um, uh, Okay, so Miranda says, I started watching you when you were working at Target, but mostly your debt videos. Okay. Well, we are going to get back to debt videos. I'm a little bogged down with life right now. Like you mentioned lawsuit, that takes a lot of time. I'm also kind of at a bad place financially because of a series of things that happened, but me ending up homeless and some other stuff. I am working a lot to try to get caught up. Once I'm a little less behind, I can get back starting like categorizing my transactions and doing my monthly budget check-ins. Um, the only realistic thing I have right now that I know that I can get to is that tomorrow I am filming the 2023 financial goals and hoping to have that video up by the end of March. I hope. Um, but it's really difficult for me right now to make content, just because I'm like so busy all the time. Um, and I worked at Target in 2018 and 2019. Miranda says, I do love hearing about your lawsuit and your ex-girlfriend. Yeah, I guess I need to update you guys on that. Um, I've been spending so much time doing it, but I haven't really given you guys an update since last month. Okay. I don't know where my cap went. There it is. All right, so here's what's going on. We've got okay, so here's what's going on. Um, the there's two different things going on court wise. And I'll just give you guys an update on this. Jennifer, I see your comment about hair, and I will update you on that. So basically, what's going on is there are two legal things going on. Number one is back in February of 2022, my ex filed a restraining order against me. And through a whole bunch of circumstances that should never have taken place, she actually got it. So I appealed, and then the court above didn't hold like a hearing like they were supposed to, so I never actually got to appeal it. So then I appealed it from them to the state Supreme Court, and that's where it's at right now. There was a whole process through a bunch of months for what had to happen, but finally by October 26th of 2022, that appeal was what they call matured, meaning that it was ready for the Supreme Court to review it. Now, they haven't yet, and I have no idea when they will. I will say that the longer that they go without reviewing it, the better chance I have of them actually doing something. Because with these protection order appeals, generally, all they do is they make what's called a memorandum decision, which means, hey, we're not even going to bother writing like an entire, decision on this. We're just going to give you a one-page thing saying, hey, here we're reviewing your case, but it's too late. Like, there's nothing still going on here. Since the restraining order's expired, we're just not going to do anything. That's what they generally do. And they do those pretty quickly because it just, it gets them out of the system. They're easy and fast to do. But they've not done that with mine, which leads me to believe that they are actually going to do something about it. It's just when is the question. And I have no clue. I mean, it could be this month or it could be like 5 years from now. I literally have no clue. And then there's the other thing, which is the lawsuit. So, trial is set for February 2024, and we are currently in the discovery phase. So, I've been working a lot creating discovery requests, responding to discovery responses, filing some motions with the court. We were supposed to have hearing on March 23rd, but that got canceled. Now we've got one toward the end of April, and that one might end up getting canceled too. We'll see. But I'm in the process of gathering all the information I need. The discovery process lets you see what they have, and it lets you get the information that you need in order to prosecute your case. And I've gotten a lot of stuff, basically. I'm still waiting on a lot more, but it's looking really good. And I had to actually just file something with the court yesterday, and, kind of, not intentionally, but in something I had to argue to the judge, I kind of called out and said, like, hey, so far in the discovery process, she hasn't been able to provide any evidence that shows or corroborates anything she said. So that's kind of along the way that this is going, is that I'm getting the stuff to prove what I need to prove, and it's being uncovered that she doesn't have anything, to prove her side. So that's good. That's all good for me. Now, discovery is going to go through November. That's the cutoff for it. So I've got plenty of time to do everything I need to do and get all the information I need to get. And we'll just see what happens. Like, this is it's a big thing. It's a time-consuming thing. But it can also end at any point, because, yeah, Jennifer, it has. Just to recap, she ghosted me in September 2021. February 2022, out of nowhere, filed a restraining order, and that's where all this started. So, it's supposed to be over in February 2024. It's possible that date could get pushed back if there are additional delays. When that happens, after February 2024, so less than a year now, I should have a lot more free time. That said, though, there will be some loose ends to tie up. There's a possibility of a federal lawsuit, which I'll have an attorney take the case on pro bono. I'm not doing that one on my own. But it'd be a federal lawsuit against the judge for deprivation of due process. There's a couple of things I need to file with the state's judicial investigation. And so there'll be some loose ends to tie up. It won't just like end right after the trial. But that's if we even get to trial. And that's the other thing is like I'm planning out the whole next year to be based around this lawsuit and me spending all my time on it. But then it could end at any point. Because like she could call me today and be like, okay, look, I want to settle, right? Like that's something that could happen. And there's a couple of other options as well for how that could go. So I'm not sure. And then there is also the possibility of criminal charges coming out of this for her. And if that's the case, that'll happen after the trial concludes. And then I will have to testify against her after that. Okay, so there's a bunch of comments coming in, so let me get to those. Oh, okay, Jennifer, I'm gonna get back to your hair comment. I'll answer the lawsuit stuff and then I'll get back to that. Jennifer says, when will the whole lawsuit / trial be over? Feels like it's been going on forever. Yeah, so the main date, even though there's some other little things that might happen afterward, the main date where it's gonna feel like a big change is gonna be February 2024. Our trial is either the first or second week of February. It's like right before Valentine's Day, basically. And that's when most everything will be over. And like I said, there's some loose ends to tie up, but even it's just going to be such a big weight off to have all of this done. Of course, I mean, I guess I should also mention she might appeal as well. And if that's the case, then we're already, well, I mean, I guess at that point she'd have to appeal to the new intermediate court that was just created last year. And I don't know how quickly they get their caseload through. But yeah, we'll see. And then Jennifer's asked, what happens if you lose / win? So if I lose, what losing would look like is not that anything negative would happen toward me. Like, I'm not in trouble and I'm not going to owe her anything. She's not countersuing. I guess I probably haven't been clear about that, but like sometimes when you sue somebody, they'll sue you back for something. She's not suing me for anything. So I'm not going to end up owing anything. What's going to happen is if I lose, it just means that I haven't been able to prove the accusations that I made against her. But she's not asking for me to cover her expenses or anything like that. I think it's unlikely that that would be the case based on what I've been able to put together so far. But that's pretty much it. Like, it would just end. She might be found not guilty. But that would pretty much be it. Like, it doesn't come back on me. And I don't think I'd regret doing this because this is what needed to happen, right? Like, I needed to stand up for myself and I needed to, say that, like, you're not going to treat me like this. You're not going to go say all this stuff about me. And even if she wins, I think it's enough of a point that she's not going to do it again. So that would be losing. Now winning is going to be two things. One, I would get damages. There's compensatory and punitive. So it's compensating me for the losses that I've incurred and then punishing her to prevent her from doing something like this again. And in court, damages are monetary. So even though for the most part money is not what she did or got out of me, like that's how it'll be paid back to me. So that's one way, is I'll get a lot of money. The punitive damages in West Virginia are capped at $500,000. I have no idea what the jury would award. And then compensatory damages too. And that includes all the money that I'm spending on the lawsuit currently. So that'd be quite a lot as well. But it also covers stuff like loss of income, and it's a lot bigger number than you're thinking. Like it's hundreds of thousands to millions that would be that money. The second stage of that is, I think more than likely, because of what the case involves, if I prove my case and I win, that she would then have criminal charges pressed against her for, at the minimum, perjury. There might be some other stuff, but I think that would be the most reasonable thing to see happen. So that's what winning would look like. Of course, before it comes to any of that, there could be a settlement. That's something we have to negotiate, so I couldn't tell you guys what that would be because she and I would have to sit down and talk about it. So, but yeah, for right now, I'm just in that stage where I'm still getting information, but it's looking good for me and bad for her, is what it comes down to. Sandra says, sorry, I got to log out for now. Hope that everything will turn out better for 2023 and beyond for... Yes. Mark, take care, everyone. Okay, yeah. All right, well, thanks for being here, Sandra. And also, circling back, Jennifer asked about my hair. So, okay, I'm going to get up close to the camera here so you guys can see. All right. So, my hair it's way too long right now, so it's not doing what it's supposed to do. This is supposed to be a coif and a hard part. And these are just like turning into like an afro. But yeah, my hair is pretty thick. And when it gets long like this, I just push it back and let it do its thing. All right, so let me show you what I use. Right. Now, I am not a beauty vlogger, so I don't have any Insta or Amazon links or anything for this stuff, but this is what I use. So my hair is way overdue for a cut, so you just keep that in mind. This is the shampoo that I use. I'm actually out of it right now, so I'll show you what I'm using in the meantime. But this is what I normally use. I just need to buy some new one. I don't know if this is good or bad, but this is one of the people that cuts my hair off and on recommended this to me a few years ago, and it's something they sell at the place I go. But it's fairly good, I think. Now, repping poverty here, I ran out of it, and I don't have the money right now to get it, to rebuy it. So I went to Dollar Tree, and for $1.25, I got this. I don't know what this really does. This is what I'm using right now until I get enough money to buy more of my regular. Um, so can't really, it's shampoo. I can say that's my review. It is shampoo. And then for my hair product, oh yeah, so what I do is I just comb my hair down. The hard part has grown over, so I just part it manually. I do use a blow dryer. I'm not gonna go grab that and show you. You guys know what a blow dryer looks like. And then after it's fairly dry, I do blow this up so that it helps it stay. And then I use this. This is Cassius Clay from Evo. I've been using this for years. This comes from Australia, and I also get this from the place I get my hair cut. But you can get it actually super cheap at Walmart on their website. That's where I've got it the last couple times. It's a styling clay, as you can see here. That's what it looks like. It has like a super strong hold. We have a lot of wind in Ohio, so I have to have something that, like, after it gets blown around, I can just push it right back and it'll stay again. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my hair care routine. That's very much a dude routine. You notice I didn't say anything about conditioner because I generally don't use it. I know I should. I don't. Maybe when I get my life together, that'll be a thing. Oh, Miranda says, is it a judge that decides or a jury? It will be a jury. And that is like the saving grace, because if you watch my earlier videos about this whole court process, the problem has been with judges. So we had the first judge. Well, okay, let me back up. First, there was an ex parte hearing that I wasn't at. That's what ex parte means, right? It's like one party. So I wasn't at that, but from the best I can tell, reading like the standards for granting an emergency protective order, she should not have been able to get that order. The judge didn't have the right to order it, because you still have to meet certain standards. Sorry guys, I keep pulling the cord. You have to meet certain standards. They should have just told her to fuck off, basically, when she came to get it, because she didn't meet the qualifications. I should have never even been notified that this was a thing. It should have been shut down right at the beginning. Then it goes off to the family court. And then that was the judge who wouldn't let me present anything, right? Then it goes to the court above that, and that was the judge that wouldn't let us have a hearing. We came in and he announced his decision, and that was it. That's not how that works. And I didn't know that at the time, because I hadn't had time to look into anything regarding the law. So, this is the saving grace, is that I demanded a jury trial. So I think it'll be 6 people, which is the smallest jury that you can have. But I have much more confidence in random general public members than I do in the judicial system. Now, to be fair, the judge we have now, while I think he kind of gets annoyed by me because I'm pro se, but like, he has allowed me to pursue this case, and he's so far allowed me to be heard, which is just like the minimum that's supposed to be required. So I have to at least respect him for letting me have my chance, and that's what's happened so far. So, but even though it seems like we have a better judge now, this decision will be made by a jury. Whoa! Thank you, Jennifer, for fancy shampoo, saying goodnight in a few minutes, and thanks for the live stream. Yeah, hey, I have no idea what time it is in Spain, or if that's different than where you normally are in Sweden, but I appreciate you being on here. It's 4:59 p.m. in the U.S., or well, on the Eastern Seaboard anyhow. But thank you. That will help a lot. Honestly, I don't even know how much the shampoo costs. I'll have to look into it, but that would be great. I will definitely use that money for that. And Yeah. You know what? If you guys have any interest in it, maybe when I do have things a little more sorted out and I'm making more videos, um, you know, I am a dude who does maybe use a few more products and stuff than most dudes. So I'm not gonna be a full time beauty vlogger, but I wouldn't be opposed to making a video or two of like my routine and the products that I use. Um, Especially once I get in back into using more of them, because right now I don't have the greatest track record of that. Um, but yeah, Miranda, to finish answering your question, I have a strong confidence in the jury that when they see what happened, um, that they are going to find it outrageous, which is the term that needs to be found. Um, One of the things I sued for was intentional infliction of emotional distress, and it's called the tort of outrage. And it's the way it's written in Black's Law Dictionary is that for it to be considered outrageous conduct, that has to be determined by the jury, and that they should hear what happened and have the thought of that's outrageous, which I think what happened is, and I think that the jury is going to see that. I just have more of a confidence in the average person seeing what happened to me as outrageous than I do a judge who is going to try to explain to me why it's not. But also, I think the judge has seen a lot of cases for intentional infliction of emotional distress over his lifetime, and maybe some of them are worse than what I'm suing for. And so maybe he would be like, well, that's not that bad. But jury members, it's going to be like watching Jerry Springer, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, and it's a lot better chance that they're going to find it that way. So that's how I'm thinking this is all going to go. Um, Jennifer, so you have pretty much nothing to lose and plenty to win. Why is she not countersuing? Well, so yes, and I know that you said, I think you said you have to go to bed soon. So maybe you'll have to watch this back on the replay, but I'll answer your questions here. They're kind of long responses, so we'll, you know, you might not want to stay up for it. You might want to just watch it back, but I think that's a correct statement. You have pretty much nothing to lose and plenty to win. I don't have anything to lose other than if I don't win, I won't get the costs that I'm paying right now for the lawsuit reimbursed. Whereas if I win, she will have to pay me that stuff back. But I am, like I said, I'm taking a stand for myself. I'm setting, you know, expectations for how I expect to be treated. And I think that I think the other thing is just if I win, I will get a large sum of money. That's not what I'm really wanting or after, but I think the point of it is, I think the reason the court system uses money as a way to compensate and a way to punish is because, you know, they can't really be like, okay, well, like, you know, you have to take this back or you have to undo this. A lot of times that can't be done. So they think of it in terms of making someone whole. Granting relief and making whole those are the terms they use. So if you think about somebody who's had something terrible happen to them, like let's say, for example, let's say you have a family member that was killed and you sue the person who killed them. The court can't bring the person back because they rule that they were wrong to kill that person. but they can make the person pay a lot of money to you. And while the money wasn't what you wanted, right? You wanted the person to be alive. Um, Giving you the money does make it a little bit better. So that's kind of the theory that I'm operating on. Lutario, I'm gonna go ahead and answer yours just because it's related to just what I'm talking about here. I sued her for 3.5 million plus 500,000 in punitive damages. The reason that it's so high, and I don't want to get into all the details on here, but there's some stuff that is affecting my current employment and will affect my employment and my employment prospects and my earnings throughout my entire life because of this case. So, I can't remember the term right now, but it's basically, it's the something of future earnings or future income. So basically, I'm being compensated for how what happened is going to hurt my income in the future. That's like the biggest chunk of it. That and my reputation. The actual compensatory stuff is a lot lower. I mean, it's still in like tens of thousands. Lutario says, how much can she pay realistically? That's kind of debatable. I think she's going to say she can't pay anything, but that's not true. She has money that she has access to. She just chooses not to use it. And whether it be a lump sum or whether it be, like paid over time, she definitely can pay it. Now, of course, the option is always there for her not to pay it. Like I've always been open to just fixing things like normal people, but so far that hasn't happened. Oh, and the second half of Jennifer's question is, why is she not countersuing? And I think the fact that she's not countersuing, I really think, is indicative of just the actual facts in this case. And it's because there's nothing that she could countersue me for. It's just, if you look back at the appeal, every time that she was supposed to file an answer to something, she never did. And it would explicitly state in the paperwork they were sending her that if she did not respond, the court considered that she agreed with what I was saying. So it was almost like throughout the entire appeal, she was like, yeah, he's right. I did that. That's what happened. She was just admitting to everything. And then she responded to the lawsuit, but she didn't actually respond to the lawsuit. This is like a long, complicated story. I probably shouldn't get into all of it on here, but essentially she denied everything, even the things that like she even denied that she filed the restraining order, which like obviously she did because the court has those documents. They know she did, but she's even denying that. So instead of like telling her side of the story, she just countered everything that I said, even though it's obviously not true. And so, let's see, what was the other? Oh, and so why she's not countersuing is because there's really nothing she could countersue for. Like, if you think about what I'm suing for, like defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, abuse of process, she couldn't sue me for any of those things because I haven't done any of those things. And she knows it. And I think that that's why she didn't countersue, is that she just knows she doesn't have anything on me. That would be my guess, anyhow. All right, so Jennifer then says, "What do you do for fun?" I watch a lot of YouTube and ride horses. I feel like you never treat yourself. Well, if we're counting watching YouTube as treating ourselves, then I do that a lot. I When I commute to Columbus and back, I generally have YouTube on the whole time. Um, Recently, within like the last, well, really since probably about Christmas time, I haven't been getting that work in Columbus, so I've been here in Athens a lot more. And I did sign up for Disney Plus. Um, I also had HBO Max because it comes free with my phone plan. Um, then there's like Freevee, which is that free thing from Amazon. Basically, I have watched a TV show or so a night, which is more than I ever really have done before. So that's taken a little time for myself. I will say though, like, you kind of sound like my therapist because she's always pointing out that I literally never do anything for myself. Um, it's just hard for me. I've never done anything for myself. And it's hard for me to even come up because she always asks me like what I'm going to do for myself that day. And I'm always just like dumbfounded. And I'll say something like, well, I think I need to go get gas or something like that. And she's like, okay, that is not a thing for you. Like, I just, it's so hard for me to even have like this concept. I don't know. But you're right. I don't really take time for myself and I don't really even know how to. Um, I work a lot. I'm busy a lot. And then, in the past, when the girl and my mom were in my life, I was always doing stuff for them. So I don't really know how to do anything for myself. And it's not that I don't want to or don't agree that I should. It's just because I don't know how to or even what that would be like or like what those things would be that I'd need to do, it's hard to start on doing that. But as far as your question, what do I do for fun? I I like to get outside. Sometimes it's just walking around, sometimes it's going for a hike. It's not warm enough or dry enough here to do that yet this year. I like to go on road trips, but I don't trust my car enough right now for that. And I don't want to have the added expense. So I do like to travel. Um, I I actually do genealogy research, which I like, and it's boring for everybody else. Um, I'm into history, so I like learning about, seeing some of that stuff. Um, I don't know. I'd really have to think more about it. What do I do for fun? Because I don't have fun very often. Um, I'm so simple that like if I hang out with somebody, like we can literally just go to Chipotle and then that's like a big highlight for me because I don't spend money and I don't like expect anything big, but I don't know. I need to work on that. Obviously, I know these answers are lame. I got to come up with something. Um, um, oh, okay. So I don't know if Jennifer's still around, but she said it's 11 p.m. Same as her time zone in Sweden. TMUSA says, good investment, Jennifer. We can see Mark has good hair. Got to keep that mane in tip-top shape. Yeah, I that that is one thing I got going for me, I guess, is I've got good hair. It's not cooperating right now, but you know, it really just needs cut, and we'll see. That should probably get done sometime in April because it just recently got long enough that it's kind of a pain to deal with. I don't want to grow it out for 6 months like I did last time. Um, Oh, and then Lutaru says, how much did you sue her for? Oh, yeah, so I answered that. 3.5 million um, compensatory and half a million punitive. The thing is, it doesn't really matter what you ask for, though. It's just going to be whatever the jury decides it's worth. So it could be way more or it could be way less. Um, yeah. Oh, and then we talked about how she could realistically pay. Then Miranda says, how much would you accept if she wanted to settle? You know, that's a huge spectrum. Um, because when you settle, you have more options than just money. Another thing that I had actually asked for in the lawsuit was for her to be ordered to print a retraction in the newspaper. Because like they're like she put my name and like domestic violence out there in the newspaper, and that's gonna come up every time anybody searches for me for anything, but especially employment. And you know, people see that and they don't even consider whether you're actually guilty. Um, they just, you know, they see that and they're not going to consider you for a job. So what I wanted done was her to publish a retraction admitting that she lied about literally all of it. Um, Publish it in the newspaper. That way, that would also come up in search. But then, if somebody did give me the chance and they're like, hey, we found this, what's up with this? I can point to it and say, well, yes, she filed that, but, you know, she printed this retraction later. Um, and I can show them that. So that's like one thing that would like lower the dollar amount that she'd have to pay is if she does something like that. There are probably some other things too, because the thing is, I'm not even after money. It's just that's the way the court system deals with stuff. That's how they compensate you. There was a big part of me that up until recently, I just had this concept of like, you know what, if you sort out this other stuff for me, like I'd be okay with you just not even paying anything. But then I realized, well, but she has actually caused all this harm to me. And a lot of it is actually directly monetary, whether it be losing jobs or losing apartments and having to move, or, you know, not being able to get jobs now because of my reputation and background, and things like that. And it's like, you know, I'm like, well, yeah, this part of me wants to be like, hey, if we can just sort out this other stuff, don't worry about the money. But then I realized, I'm like, she did actually really harm me financially as well. And I should at least be equally compensated for those things. Yeah. So I guess I'm not going to be able to say that. I guess I'm not going to be able to be like, oh, well, just don't worry about the money. Because with all this is involved now, like money is part of it now. And I don't know. She'll have to pay something, I guess. Like definitely reimburse me for all the court costs. So, well, Miranda, that is a huge question. Um, I think I know the answer, or at least I know most of the answer to that, but it's taken me a really long time to figure it out. I could speculate, but I feel like that is something that I'm going to have to, at least until I've said it in court, I shouldn't put it online. Um, but I do have a theory that explains most of it. And it's what I think is going on. And I gotta wait to get some more documents from her to kind of like prove it, and also talking to her, like, because throughout the court process I do have to talk to her, and like after talking to her, like maybe I'll get some more information and see if she admits to it or what she thinks about it. Yeah, I mean it is weird because like, I mean I don't know why I was ghosted to begin with, and then I don't know why, however long later it was, like 3 months later. Yeah, well, 5 months later. I mean, I'd moved to the other side of the state um, that she filed this, and I don't know. I don't know. The judge kept asking her during the trial we had. She wouldn't answer. She wouldn't give any kind of answer at all as to why she filed it or why she waited so many months to file it. I don't know. Miranda, she used to. I don't know if she still does, but if she doesn't, she has people who watch them for her and report back. I know that because when we were at our last trial, she did say that she has somebody who watches the videos and then reports back to her what I say. So, I mean, the stuff that I say on here is either stuff she already knows, or it's stuff that she should know by being involved in the court process. I'm not like really putting anything out here that I mean, really the only thing I'm putting out here that is something that she might not already know is like my conclusions about like how the case is going or something. Because I do legitimately think there's a part of her that thinks that she's winning this. Like, I think that she thinks when she submits the stuff to me that she's proving her side, and then it's like some kind of damning evidence, and it's not at all. It doesn't even support what she's saying. So, yeah, but that's where that is. I can't go into all the details, and I don't even know all of them. I'm still trying to figure it out, like, because a big part of me is still just like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is going on? And like I said, I have a theory now. But yeah, I've got to start doing depositions soon. And I got to explore that with people. Eventually I'm going to depose her and confront her with it. But that's a few months down the road. All of that will be wrapped up by November, though. So, I mean, it's kind of in the future, but not that far in the future. So, it seems like okay. Well, we still got a good number of people on here, but it seems like questions have kind of dried up. We've been on for just short of 2 hours. So I've given you guys my update about both court cases. And then my goal for the rest of March is to get that 2023 financial goals video filmed. I have some time set aside tomorrow to do that. And then I will hopefully have that edited and uploaded by the end of March. I think you guys will be kind of on the same page with me after that's out, as far as maybe why I'm not around so much in 2023, and what I'm doing when I'm not around, because I really have to buckle down to get through this year. I gotta, you know, spend a lot of time catching up on things and also moving forward with moving and the lawsuit and things like that. But anyway, guys, I don't see any more questions coming in, so I'm gonna go ahead and end things. If you weren't here for the live and you want to ask any questions, I'm not checking every day, but I do read through all the comments on the videos. So let me know if you have any other questions. And then just by the 31st of March, you should be able to see that 2023 financial goals video posted by me. And I'm really, really going to try to meet that deadline. So, and if you don't see it by the end of March, just, around first week of April, it'll definitely be up. So I'm gonna go work for the rest of the day, and then I am going to get ready to film that video tomorrow and get all my thoughts straight about it. So I will see you guys in that video, and then we'll do this live stream again at the end of April.